Hi, this is Valerie, and we're with the NAR Fellowship. And I have, how do I say your name again?
Yashim.
Yashim. Yashim. That's a beautiful name, and it's so unique and, you know, like crystal. Um,
Thank you.
and you're welcome. And Yashim has a very interesting background. She's a fellow learner. I met her on the Loveland, I Love Loveland Facebook group, and we had a phone chat, and we just decided to do a conversation together and talk about our learning and stuff. And maybe, Yeshim, you would be kind enough to explain your background. She is what's called end of life doula, which I thought was very interesting and heartening. So maybe you could explain a little bit about yourself, what you feel comfortable saying online, and a little bit about what an end of life doula is.
Well, an end of life doula, and so the word doula derived from the Greek word, we like to say sister, but midwife, a woman that facilitated births and deaths. So that's a little bit of what the meaning means. It means so much more to me as I've developed my learning through the years. I'm obviously not done yet, but I still want to continue to learn. But facilitating between this life and the next chapter for people, and doing it in a way where they aren't honored and they have the choice, and there's someone there to help them also carry out their wishes. And I work with families. There's a lot to it. It's not just, as it is for a birth doula. It's not just walking in and the doula's here and now the baby's born and everybody walks away. The doula is set with skills to be able to prepare for whatever him or her would like to offer people. So each one of us doulas has a different bag we carry, but similar in that we do help in those times.
Cool. Thank you. Um, so just I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it, but what got you into doing it, end of life doula work?
Well, I took care of my grandpa, and I'm really proud to talk about it because he did save my life. So, at an early preteen age, I was working with him, and he had gotten out of the military with a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, which didn't take long after that before he was starting to lose his faculties. So, by the time I had come into the picture, he was still able to move his neck and some of his arm and slight leg movement, but that deteriorated quickly. So, yeah, I stayed with him for well over 10 years. Um, and I knew, some part of me knew that it was a direction I wanted to go. And so it was a discipline as well because there were horses and cows to take care of. So, getting up early, learning how to work, and also learning how to take care of someone, which I had no idea how to do.
Mm,
And so he taught me everything.
wow. I'm sorry you
So,
went through that, but I'm glad he had you.
well, I'm not sorry I went through it. I
Yeah,
loved every moment of it, even though it was hard at
yeah,
times, a lot of times, but I'm blessed to have that knowledge.
yeah. That's fantastic. I do caregiving for my mom and sister-in-law. They have health issues, not end of life kind of stuff right now. They're just chronic health conditions, and so I can empathize of taking care of elderly people. And that's I've kind of always grown up in that with taking care of my grandmother when I was young. Um, and then families who were sick who had to go to the hospital and stuff, I would be the one to stay with them, kind of thing. So I have a long history of being a caregiver. I don't really like it, but I do it
Well,
because I love them.
right,
So
right. Sometimes we do it because it's the right thing to do, and we
right,
really We have to honor our elders. We have to honor, but also, caregivers know a lot, and
Mm,
they are and don't get the credit that they deserve. And it's not like we're standing around waiting for a red carpet and people to give us champagne and march us down the red carpet or anything. It's
yeah,
just please and thank you is great, but it's such a seldom thankful, thanking job. So thank
yeah,
you to
oh,
you and all those that are a caregiver, because it's
yeah,
probably one of the hardest things that we'll do in our life.
yeah, very
Because to
true.
do it in a way where you're like, where you really care, where you show that you care and you can put yourself aside. That's so hard because you know we're triggered and we have emotions, and
Yep.
put all that aside
And
to
family dynamics, and sometimes people have issues with, you know, feeling like, feeling the limitations of their independence and their autonomy being stripped from them from the illness that they're dealing with. And that's hard. And sometimes people just, they get emotional and lash out, and you got to not take that personally, and you work through
yeah,
it together, kind of thing. But I'm really lucky. My mom is really fantastic. Um, but why don't we move forward to the question, and then we can kind of explore as time allows us. Um, you said that you've done a lot of learning, not only in caregiving but in other things. What I'd always like to start with is, what was your learning journey like for you? Some people have memories that they like to share. Some people like go through their academics to, or maybe they talk about like how they started self-learning themselves. Being more initiative in their own learning, or if
yeah,
they, and so I'll let you kind of take the floor with that.
yeah. Well, I love to learn. I'm a hands-on learner, so although I have taken some online courses, which is kind of weird, I do prefer the classroom. I do prefer a teacher, teaching me, but also life experience, But I equate a lot of my learning in my early formidable years when I was really malleable, to my grandpa, and then knowing what I needed to do after that was to get certain credentials. So I wasn't quite sure where I was going to go with it, but I thought I would try emergency care.
Mm,
And so I rode an ambulance and became an EMT and stuff. And was, I guess I was pretty good at rising to the occasion all my life to an emergency. And I
mm,
guess I kind of wanted to dial that back a little bit and go back to, having a few clients here and there at first, and I was like, this is what I really want to do. I'm really good with seniors and they really like me, and I really want to just keep giving the gift, that keeps on giving all year round, and
mm,
the seeing these folks, and it's so deplorable and inexcusable to me what happens to many of our seniors. um, that's really important for me to try to help people at home
mm,
so that they're surrounded, but not everybody has that luxury. So I'm passionate about helping all the people, but yeah, and so with who knows uh, what'll happen, with me or you. Would we have that luxury? And if not, then we really have to
yeah,
think about those things. So I like helping older people figure those things out, and
cool.
just so that you work your whole life, you buy a house, it's paid off, you should be able to. That's your monastery, your church, your
Mm,
sacred space. You should
yeah,
be allowed to do whatever you want in your home,
yeah,
including making your next journey there.
yeah. Well,
But
that's, go ahead.
I'm not opposed to helping people in nursing homes or anything. But
Mm,
and everybody deserves to die with dignity in my book.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
doesn't matter where you are.
right. What do you enjoy learning aside from the healthcare aspect of your daily life? Or do you
I like.
mostly just go ahead?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I mostly?
Uh, do you most or do you actually enjoy learning more about healthcare things, or do you have like different interests in things?
Um, I have a great passion for the spiritual aspect of learning about um, death and dying and what's happening spiritually,
Hmm.
how I can pass that knowledge on, and part of that learning is making sure that I have a wide variety of different cultures that I've studied, so that I can honor other people from different demographics, and it's not always the same, and I don't want to be a stagnant staying in one area of the realm. If I'm to encourage other people to open their minds, then I also have to deeply open my mind so that I can
Hmm.
be available to have the knowledge and the know to help people.
Cool.
So not only not only medically and keeping up to date with certain you know certifications that I have to keep and uphold. I also like to be an educator, so
Cool.
teaching these classes to me is really another passion of mine, and
So,
helping people talk about death. You
oh, so
know,
you teach about end of life stuff for people who are learning it or about to deal with it or preparing for it in the future kind of thing. That's cool.
yes,
That's really helpful. How did you get into teaching? Um, I know I'm going off script a little bit. I apologize, but
no, that's
I'm
okay.
always interested in learning more about the learning to be a teacher and what you find helpful in your learning to be a better teacher, and then also how you find uh, it help. What do you find helpful to relay the information to your students to help them understand the precepts and so forth?
Well, how I got into teaching was I've upheld a teaching license with the American Heart Association. So for about 25 years now, I've been an instructor teaching CPR and first aid. And so I was really passionate doing that, and I still am. Saving life and then talking about end of life, it kind of all rolls into it. How I started to teach about end of life was a colleague and dear friend of mine had opened her own school called the Equinox School of Herbal Studies,
Oh,
and we've been about the same time we started our businesses, and she asked me to come on board, and I was to be one of her teachers, and I was like really taken aback at first. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize, she's like, well, you can talk about death for a couple hours, can't you? And I'm like, yeah, but is it going to make sense to people? And so I definitely went into it with um, baby steps, and she kept encouraging me, so I got braver. And so each year it gets better.
cool,
So now I think it's been about 10 years now. So something
cool.
I really enjoy, and she creates such a great school, that's centered around um, the healing arts and medicinal and medicine
Mm.
and all of these other deep subjects.
I apologize to our viewers. We're having audio difficulties, so if
Audio
you hear
difficulties,
a high
so if
pitched
you
sound, we
hear a
have
high
tried
pitched
to
sound,
troubleshoot
we
it,
have tried to troubleshoot it.
and we don't know what it is. So, um, I apologize. That's going to be a reoccurring thing, um, but we'll do the best we can. There is going to be subtitles, so if you have trouble understanding neither one of us, you can just turn the closed caption on. Um, but
That's
uh,
awesome.
how did you learn how to teach better?
Um,
Just by
well,
doing?
by doing, practicing, if you're paying it, I'm paying attention to the students. I'm making sure uh, that I'm learning from them as well, and also, my colleague, of course, asking her, what can be improved, what can be better or whatever, and then come home and read and formulate a class, like, and to have it be hands on and have people involved and to be able to feel comfortable and safe, as we talk about it, because it's not really me just coming up to the students and saying, okay, we're going to talk about death. Well, we're really going to talk about it by asking each individual to share their story about their experience. And so it's to that's how we get the discussion rolling.
Yeah. It's a hard topic to talk about, and it's like so much layers of things to know and figure out and make decisions on and all that kind of stuff.
What's the hardest part around it for you? What would be the hardest topic within the?
Um, that's a good question. Um, I think trying to deal with if my mom or sister-in-law had to go to a facility, dealing with the ramifications of that for us, and trying to take care of them and visit them, and uh, either one of one of us staying with them and stuff. It would be the logistics of actually dealing with that. Because I remember I stayed with my grandmother for 3 months in a assisted living facility after she got cancer and broke her hip and all this kind of stuff. And it was kind of an ordeal for all of us. I remember that being a hard thing. Um, and so we'd have financial issues that we'd have to deal with. We'd have medical stuff. We'd have to taking care of them, kind of thing. It would be all at once. You know, the logistics of it all, and trying to honor and take care of them as best we could. So
Yeah,
we very much believe in staying with the person who's in the hospital or the facility. So that's a, a bit of a challenge because my mom's deaf without a hearing aid. So I remember several times when she had to go to the hospital for different like eye surgery and stuff like that. They they never understood that they needed to talk to her and let her put her hearing aid on. It was on the marker board, and they never looked at the marker board to blood test people. They come in the middle of the night, early in the morning, like 3 a.m. in the morning, and they're trying to wake her up and do the thing, and she has no idea what's going on. They're about to take blood from her, and they're not explaining what's happening. They don't even understand they needed, you know, to that she has to put on her hearing aid to communicate with them. She was deaf without a hearing aid. So these are the things that we would have to deal with if things developed in that nature, um, or things would escalate to going to a facility kind of thing. Um, I I I lost my dad to a heart attack back in 2011. He's always struggled with high blood pressure and stuff, but he would go through cycles of trying to eat better and exercise as our finances allowed and our time allowed. Um, and then it was a shock that he passed away. So it was kind of like a circle of wagons, and it totally changed our lives. So I'm half mentally prepared for that to happen yet again whenever it does happen. I'm hoping I have 20 plus years.
not anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
Now
So go ahead.
you picked a subject um, that completely infuriates me, makes me angry, but I I allow it to take part of me because I have to deal with the same, I have to continuously tell people in nursing home staff because a lot of times when one of my people can't stay at home, they want me to follow them to the nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
So I do.
Yeah.
But that means a whole different set of things I have to deal with,
You
like
have
you're
to deal
talking.
with the bureaucracy and the coming in and out, and they're not
Right.
very, they don't. They have their own schedules and stuff. It's like sometimes in hospitals and stuff. It's like I had one friend who had a baby, and people just kept coming in and out, and this poor woman had not slept at all. And finally, for a half hour, her husband just stopped everybody from coming in and let her just sleep, because
Yeah.
everybody just kept coming in and interrupting her and not letting her sleep.
Busy,
And it
busy,
was a
busy.
whole big ordeal that she had to have a C-section and everything. And
C-section
it's
and
like,
everything, and it's like,
and
yeah,
they're kind of blind and done to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The I always said like if you were if you were a doctor, because they should take at least a basic in uh learning how to be um empathetic and and compassionate. Like they should take an empathy class because they just take the Hippocratic Oath and then
Yeah,
that's that. But can you imagine like you're sitting in a room by yourself waiting for the doctor to come in and he opens up the door dramatically with the clipboard in his hand and he's writing some stuff down. He's like, you got cancer, and he's not really looking at you. He's writing all his crap down,
yeah,
and you're like, oh my god, I just got a diagnosis, right?
yeah,
And then like in 3 minutes he's written a bunch of stuff down. He's like, yeah, I need to see you in 2 weeks. We're going to do this. We're going to take your head off and stitch it onto your ass and then take your foot and put it where you're, and people are like, but if you were somebody that was empathetic and you sat next to your patient, you say, I've seen these doctors, they do exist.
mm,
They have the hand of the patient or the shoulder or the whatever connection they're making with them, and they're saying, you have cancer and we're going to do everything together. If you need to call me at 2 in the morning, call me at 2 in the morning. You are
mm,
not left alone. So if you
yeah,
give somebody an opportunity to have a safe space to tell you what's wrong, what's going on, once they vocalize that and feel safe, they actually, one, can help themselves. So
mm,
they may not be able to cure that cancer themselves. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they can help themselves internally, spiritually,
yeah,
mentally, to accept those things. And more times than none, when someone is positive during their diagnosis, it's a more success rate. The
yeah,
more negative, you
yeah,
know. I don't want to hear a doctor jump at me about cancer or glaucoma or
yeah,
vaginal disease or whatever it is, I mean, it's all intimate when it regards your personal body.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we have to change this mannerism. And unfortunately, I don't even know why they call nursing homes. Do you?
Um, Supposedly the nurses are coming in. We were in a
Oh,
middle of grade nursing home for my grandmother, and I remember some of the other patients didn't get the care that they needed at the time they needed. They needed someone like you or me to be there in the room taking care of them. And nursing homes can't do that. It's like one lady fell down because she had one of these writing chairs and stuff, and something went wrong with the chair and she couldn't stop it, and so she fell down. Um, but if someone had been in the room, they could have avoided all that trauma for the woman. And she was in another room. I never knew. I learned about it afterwards.
that's corporations should not own nursing homes because there
Mm,
is no care in it. They own most of them. And when you don't have any care, what happens? It trickles down. Then you have a very angry administrator here trying to keep this home together. But she's got to play the corporate game and she's got to talk to or him or her has to talk to a corporate and this is what they want, and they're like, cut
Mm.
costs, cut costs, cut costs. Well, where's the cost cut, right? You
Yeah.
cut the cost on food, you cut the cost on activities, you cut the cost on supplies, and some of these places don't even offer chucks pads.
Mm.
Mind blown, right?
Yeah, it's kind of odd, it's a broken system. Not there's a lot of good people like you saying the doctors who try to actually just talk with a person and treat them as a human being. Um, uh, so, but I'm getting digressed. I apologize. We can probably talk about this for a couple hours because we
I
both are
guess
like
we
caregivers, and this is kind of a passion of ours. But I'd like to explore another thing is you kind of talked about what topics tend to attract your attention most. Were there any other topics besides healthcare and end of life stuff and um, all that kind of stuff, caregiving and things? Um, or are there other additional things that you're interested in that you kind of dive into when you have time to maybe diffuse and stuff?
yeah, the self-care part. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I have we call it the little farm. It's not much of one, but two dogs, a cat, and some chickens, oh, and I'm sorry, fish. Don't forget the fish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love my animals. Try to get out as often as I can during the week to walk, be in nature, and so blessed to have a huge wooded lot behind me, so it's like a
Mm.
little forest. So I always
Cool.
see a lot of, critters, and that brings me a lot of joy. I love to create. I love to cook,
Cool.
make food,
Cool.
do crafty stuff. Um,
Do crafts and stuff?
yeah.
Cool. What kind of crafts do you like to do?
Uh, I like to bead. I like to take, you find like things like out in nature, rocks and stuff, and oh, and I just found a huge willow wreath, like really huge, like huge, big around. I'm gonna make
Wow.
a dream catcher out of it, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, very cool. That should be fun. That's
Yeah,
cool.
stuff like that.
You were saying that you prefer uh, classes more than self-study. Do you, um, or is it a mix for you, self-study and classes, or is it basically you do whatever is the best way to learn, but you prefer classes? Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I do self study and classes. Sometimes, admittedly, it is easier through the internet.
Mm,
Online classes, it really is convenient.
yeah,
Sometimes it's really busy, so that's a good thing to have. But
right.
other stuff doesn't allow me to research on the computer, so I have to go physically in
Yeah,
person and be monitored, and and then get the okay. There's your hall pass. Yay!
yeah,
See you in 2 years.
yeah. So, what are some challenges or roadblocks in your learning endeavors? Have you been able to find any solutions for them? What worked for you?
Learning and roadblocks. I think a lot of the roadblocks, which I can see for other people too, would be financial.
Mm,
Um, really like research your the healing arts seems to go up in cost a lot every year,
mm,
and it seems to me it doesn't have to be that way, um, because we're not tapping into anything new, and these ancient traditions have been happening for thousands of years.
mm.
So why all of a sudden does it cost, let's say, $5,000 to join someone's doula certification class as opposed to $600?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it has a little bit to do with what each person offers, but some people that are charging the large amounts tend to be in a, and then we'll give you our business model, and then when you're done you can go out there and be a doula. And it's like, to me it doesn't really work that way.
Mm,
I'm not just a doula. So when
mm,
I go into a home, we are oftentimes there with our people for years
mm,
before we are doulaship. So and
mm,
so it's like, first you go in, the grandma or grandpa needs a little help. They can't clean the toilet. Hey, I'm your girl. We clean the toilet. That way grandma or grandpa can't fall or hurt themselves doing a chore they once
mm,
did. Then you build a trust. And then next thing you know, they're like, can you do this for us? And then as the years go by, the family knows what you have, and you don't leave because you stay, because you offer from all the services they need.
mhm,
And then, and the family knows. So we just play it by ear, day to day, week to week. And then they
mhm,
get to the point where they need more help and they trust you and then you become part of the family most times.
right.
And work closely with everyone. So, my
So
point was,
back to
depending on
the
what,
yeah, back to the point of
what,
the roadblocks and the challenges.
right.
So one of them is financial,
Yes.
not only in your learning but also for your clients. Finances can be a barrier for them. But uh, the internet has helped you probably with online classes that facilitate making it a little more convenient, but there's a lot of stuff that you need to do in person because of the line of work you're in, for training and so forth, both teaching as well as learning yourself. Um, what what else do you think are roadblocks and challenges for your learning and teaching?
Um, I, I would really like to learn to work with the more challenging families a little better.
Mm,
Um, I, we understand that, at least for me, and also others, we understand that when we work for that person, we work for that senior. That senior is the one that it's also providing us with our pay. So
mm,
we have this relationship until they get to a point where a family member has to take over. So
right.
um, at that point, there is communicating with the family, and there is letting them know and starting to build a relationship, but you've established the relationship with the client. So sometimes when it comes to the harder things, I would like to keep learning how to keep family together, and learn how to better help them understand that even though they may have past things, um, that it should not be, it's not the time or the place to resolve those things.
Mm,
um, they have to be really, um, so I would like to learn some tools to give them to
mm,
help make that better, so that keeping peace in the house is important, and
yeah.
stress, no stress. So
Yeah.
mm, and sometimes you run into where the you can just feel the energy when you walk into the home, and you're
Mm.
like, oh, this is going to be it's going to be challenging. So I'd like to better offer those folks more tools to help them be
Do
able
you know
to.
where to find that information or learn about that? Or are you in the process of trying to just find that information?
I've looked up several classes that I would like to take. I think perhaps maybe learning, what's the word, to diffuse a situation,
Yes,
perhaps
de
be a
escalate and defuse, yes.
and diffuse. So that class is in my queue to explore and take.
Mm,
Also, um, just being more aware, and because it's not. some may equate that to, oh, you're just going to walk into a house and fix everybody.
Right.
No, no, I
People are much too complex and nuanced for, a TV show, 30-minute, you know,
yeah,
resolution. That's not how
that's
life
always
works.
a learning, how to communicate, because my communication style in normal would be, pretty much acceptable to most everyone, but
Hmm.
in heated situations, it wouldn't be. So, um,
Yeah. I shared somebody's private information by accident, so I'm gonna see if I can block that out. That might
oh,
take me a
okay.
while to figure that out. I didn't mean to do that. Um, but tell me about the thing you were telling me during the pause about the something.
So, one chapter of my life is supporting MMIW, which is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women.
Mm-hmm.
Although now it is MMIP, which is Missing and Murdered Indigenous People.
Mm.
So we have a chapter here, and I help when I can. It's really incredible. Um, it's mind blowing to think about a lot of, in race, and I'm not distinguishing any race for any reason other than to explain what happens when um, when, let's say, Caucasian women or men go missing, mostly women, are advertised so quickly, and CBI gets the missing report and they seem to act so quickly on it.
Mm.
um, yes, I understand probably it's due to, a lot of rural area that covers reservations across the United States,
Mm.
and women and other people just going, just disappearing off the face of the earth. And in fact,
Mm.
just recently there were 10 or so cold cases from the early 90s that just got solved.
Mm.
So, so yeah, bringing attention. So now CBI does advertise Indigenous people. So we are on the news and finally have some leeway because, some help with that. We
Right.
can get into all of the politics on each reservation, and it's different, and but a lot of poor places. So
Mm.
there's not police force. There's not. The city not wanting to, go ahead and proceed with trying to find someone that's gone missing because they were on the res, and I guess they don't really matter. And there's not enough staff in these little towns to have somebody investigating someone missing all the time. And so
Mm.
by the time it reaches CBI, it's sometimes a week.
Mm.
And we know that you need that initial first couple of hours. You have to hustle, to look for
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah. It's
So,
hard.
yeah, yeah.
But sometimes it's important to talk about the hard things. Um. So, have you ever been able to find any what are some resources, types of tools, or things that you found that you like, or that are helpful in note taking or learning and teaching?
A lot of note taking. I do. So I have different journals labeled different subjects to add to.
Mm.
Um, and I'm sorry. Can you go back to the last part of that question,
Oh,
or
no, it's okay. What are some resources, types of
the
tools,
resources?
or things that you found that you like or found helpful in your learning journey?
I am really excited about a website called Caregiver Way,
Mm.
and they're based out of Minnesota, and they run a business in Minnesota called Joy's House, which is a nursing home, hospice. The people there are amazing. Um, and so when they created the website, they asked me to be on board to, um, and I apologize if this seems like I'm promoting this. I'm
No, it's
not
okay.
promoting
People
me.
might want to need to know about this, so
Well,
yeah,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
promoting me, I'm promoting the website. So
Yeah, that's
just make
fine.
it clear. And so the website is designed for all the questions that anybody would have, and there's many contributors. So people write articles or have videos like how to change the bedding in bed with someone in it, or how to do
Mm,
this, or how to do that. And it's really busy, and it's a great resource for not only tools that you may need on how to do something, but also support for your intellectual or spiritual self. People are
yeah.
really open to supporting each other, and especially with the self care and it's we
Mm,
know it's important, but we know that we're going to put ourselves first. But
right.
then, you know, we're going to put others first before
Mm,
we put ourselves first. So it's hard to say, okay, and so whatever that looks like, it doesn't matter. But what matters is that we are taking care of ourselves, you know.
mm, yeah.
So it's great. It's great support. Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you don't mind, at the end of our interview conversation, if you could email me that link, then I'll put it in the video description below, so that people can go there and
Sure.
see their resources and their questions and stuff. That would be a helpful resource for
Resources and
people.
the questions and stuff. That would be a helpful resource for people. Yeah.
I have a bit of an echo going on. I
Yeah.
apologize about that.
Also, oh, it's happening again. Oh, maybe not. If I turn my head like this and stick my finger, okay, now we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also think like once in a while I find myself going on one of those quick chats where you ask a nurse or ask a therapist or something. So sometimes I'm like, every now and then, I think it can help folks.
So ask it's go online and ask a nurse, a therapist, or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's cool.
and- yeah. I can't tell you exactly what websites. It just comes on, and then I ask a question. And
Cool.
sometimes, use it to verify something medically, or use it to also, ask a question about something personal that you may need someone to hold space for.
Mm, yeah. Um.
I'm reaching out to the bots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Putting them to good use. So, um, uh, what have you learned that you found helpful?
I learned that patience, accepting people where they're at in their journey, um,
Mm,
I think are two things that grow with me. Um, when I'm young, when you're young, and for when I was young, you have this just just do it. You can do it. You're trying to
yeah.
be someone's cheering squad, and
Yeah.
and you want to pump them up, and you have to remember it's not your best buddy on the soccer field that you're pumping up. It's somebody, and so you have to have different approaches. So I'm learning more approaches. Have learned some. It's always a learning curve. We're all
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But we're all the same too, because we all get sad, we all have grief, we all
Mm,
but I think the important things really are, please and thank you, and and just being gentle, just to be gentle in the time where someone you feel like can just pick you up and throw you across the universe.
yeah.
So really, sometimes you have to grit your teeth, sometimes pinch your cheeks inside your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of emotions in the midst of all that, and people can say and do the wrong thing. But We have to have grace with each other. Yeah,
Yeah, and show
and navigate
have
those waters.
yeah, and have gratefulness. Be grateful to be
Yeah,
grateful.
yeah.
Um, how much do you really want out of life? Meaning, how much of this do you really want, and how much of quality do you want? So it's quantity over quality. So
Mm,
you can have all the money in the world. That's not really going to make you happy. It may in an interim. And sure, who wouldn't want a lot of money and be able to go to fancy places and chill out? Well, but then I would find myself not wanting to come back from that beach.
mm,
So I want to continue my work here.
yeah,
So I have a purpose. We all have a purpose. So
it's a good purpose. Um, I have some other questions. I wanted to talk about your learning journey with working on the mountain radio station when you used to live up in the mountains. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you got into that and what you learned doing the radio station stuff.
oh gosh. Oh, we had so much fun. It was such a valuable community resource that we had that everybody pretty much embraced it. And so I guess how we went about it was let's see, uh, there was another radio station that got shut down, and the people from that station asked my friend who knew that part of things to put together the equipment and stuff. So he gave it to my friend, and then we later set it up. And turns out that it really turned out to be such a cool thing. We had DJs occupying the pretty much all day, all night kind of thing where we had live DJs, and we built community through that, through music, through interviews. So much like we're doing now, that was my thing. I love to interview people, and
Cool.
so we had musicians and sitting in the studio, and so yeah, we were able to do that for many many years. um, Unfortunately, things happen, people take other routes. It's still going online. Most of the time it works. Wayhighradio.com.
Cool.
Go radio. But if it's not designed yet for those of us that want to start broadcasting from home and
Ah,
doing the shows. So I'd really like to get back to it.
cool.
But true, you saw what happened to me. It was like a meltdown before this thing started. I'm like, it says I have Chrome, and I'm not able to. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, my head's exploding.
Yeah,
um,
we had a bit of technical difficulty, and sometimes that happens with these things.
but I'm a
Um,
winner because I got it.
yep, you did a great job. Well done.
Thank
You figured it out. So, um, so what did you learn in interviewing people that you would, um, how you communicate with people, or what were some of the big takeaways from your interviews with people that resonated with you? Um, that you can kind of remember? I know I'm kind of asking out of the blue. I apologize. I was just following the thread.
Okay. I mean, I learned a lot. The one thing that really fed my heart was that people were so open and
Mm,
to share their story and to get personal with me. And I so much enjoy that out of people, that it's truly magic in the making.
mm,
And so yeah, that's what it did for me. And then just having um, the community that we did, and then having the radio also be like the only place where people could get news when we were having catastrophes happen.
mm,
You know, a flood, we had a couple of fires, we were
mm,
on there, because some of that was like right through our town. Flood certainly was.
oh,
Although we didn't get as much damage as a lot of people did. We were lucky, but
Yeah.
the fire's hanging up on that ridge line, and you're looking at it going, oh, okay, but we're on the radio
Yeah.
and we're building a community, and people were listening, and we would have a fundraiser every year, and everybody came out of the woodwork, and we'd always have great music and food and auction
Mm.
items, and that kind of party in a small town is what makes a small town thrive.
Mm.
That kind of a scene.
Very cool.
So I was happy to be part of that for a while. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so great. I'm glad you had that experience.
Giants.
So
It
you
was.
probably found a lot of the communicative skills that you learned from interviewing people kind of transferred into your, daily life and caregiving and stuff. Just dealing with people
Yeah.
and stuff.
I just
Yeah.
stop and start asking questions, and we have an interview. Hold on, you're live.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah. So are you still involved or are you mostly retired from that now?
I mean, I do get online and listen, but eventually, I would like to have the setup to be able to broadcast from home, and I know there are others that are interested in that as well.
Oh.
The studio right now, just we just don't have the too many people that are, it's kind of a new generation now, and so
Mm.
we don't want to let it die. I'd love to resurrect it more on the FM rather than online, but if
Oh.
online is the way to go, then let's do it. But
Yeah.
I don't. Uh, I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, I have a pair of headphones. I'm sure I'll need that.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of the
So
podcasting, I only know a little bit about podcasting. I'm just kind of diving in and doing stuff, and a lot of the tech stuff I don't know. So I used to work in media production years ago in film, video, and audio. We did a radio show for 9 years on two different stations, one in Johnstown and one in Fort Collins, uh, and which were complete opposites. The one in Johnstown was more of a talk radio station, and the one in Fort Collins was more of a 80% music NPR kind of station, community station. So I understand the community aspect of it. It's actually really kind of nice.
yeah,
They both had very different communities, but there was a community, and people interacted with you and stuff. It was very heartening. So
yeah,
there is just something to do with live, you know, AM and FM radio that
yeah.
podcast doesn't have. But yeah,
I was really
so
fascinated, when I was a kid because we didn't have a TV in our room, and I had this old 1970 AM FM radio, and I would put the covers over my head and peruse AM because I thought it was just so cool at like midnight, 10 o'clock at night. And so
aw,
I found myself listening to Art Bell, and I'm like, who's Art Bell? And weird, DJs, not a disc jockey, but just weird things happen on AM radio when I was a kid. So you'd hear
yeah,
weird stuff, and then I always thought it was cool. And then I thought when I learned about ham radio, I was like, oh my god, this is even cooler. Like
yeah. So
just,
did you ever
just
learn about uh, get set up with ham radio and learn that thing?
I did. I took care of a man. His name was Tom. He was let's see, I think he was about 94 when he passed away, but he
Wow.
was a big ham. And so every day he would get on the radio at the same time every day, do his little, identification number, everything. And then they would talk to each other, the other people. Sometimes he was in other countries. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to take that class. So after he died, I got on the radio, me and someone else, and we did an announcement on his last call. We called his last call, um, and that was really neat. Technically, not supposed to do that,
Right.
but considering the situation, and so people answered back, and it was
It was
like
kind of honoring him.
Yeah, it was kind of like sending them out to the radio waves again. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. That's awesome. We're getting on almost an hour. Um, is there anything that you had thought of or had questions for me that you'd like to ask me?
Well, I mean, I'd like to know what exactly Nara Fellowship means to you.
Oh, okay, sure. NARA Fellowship is there's NARA has different meanings and connotations all over the world. There's many different languages that incorporate the word NARA. I actually like it for the Japanese connotation. Um, in Japanese, the word means oak, um, and it also has connotations of spirituality and wisdom, and I like that. And so I developed NARA Fellowship. Guys, I'm an anime fan. That's where I learned about NARA from. I know it's an actual real place in Japan, and there's actual people, a clan called Nara in Japan, but in the anime there was a clan named Nara, and I kind of like that. It was just a nice name. Um, and I I spent several years trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Kind of like what do I want to do before I pass away, kind of thing. And I have a passion for learning. I really enjoy just learning, following my rabbit trails, following my curiosity, and see where it leads, kind of thing. I'm not the best at remembering stuff I learn, but I really enjoy the process of learning stuff.
I get
I
it.
have to be honest. I'm not a true scholar, you know, uh, information hog. I just enjoy the process of learning new, interesting things. Um, and I would wanting to create um, a podcast for myself to meet interesting people like yourself and just have a conversation with them. Um, Mostly because you're supposed to niche yourself, I figured we'll make it more focused on learning and self-learning. Um, I'll talk to academics wherever they may be, because I think they're self-learners. They happen to be in the academic world. Um, but uh, I wanted to just connect and talk with other people who enjoy learning and other things that I'm interested in. So I have a wide variety of things that I'm interested in, and people are welcome to check out the show description on the YouTube page. And then when I do a regular podcast, it'll be on the channel of your choice. This, it'll have a description of what the thing is about. I go into many different topics. I'm like writing is one of my main things. Essential oils, emergency preparedness, um, dealing with disabilities and caregiving. That's a big part of my life for a long time. So most people don't equate learning with caregiving, and this is like the perfect episode where it's like
Hmm.
you know it's just a part of real life, and people just live this way, and so most people divide it, and in my life it's not divided. um, and so Nara Fellowship was basically my learning journey, um, where I talk with other learners and meet and have interesting conversations like this one, um, and uh, hopefully other people will find it enriching and helpful. um,
Yeah.
and I eventually would like to start um, an in-person group here in Loveland, and also help other people do the same wherever they might be. Is create a learning club. Noah Fellowship would be the name of it because fellowship meaning there's a group of us that we like learning.
Right.
Um, and I can talk a little bit about that. This is in the beginning stages right now. I'm in the process of working on the website for the NAR Fellowship website. I have information on my website, um, which is, let me get my mouse to work.
I like that idea.
So valerieflynn.com if you want to learn more about NAR Fellowship and me. Um, Eventually, I will have narfellowship.com up and running in the next month or so, or maybe by next year. Um, Depending how quickly I can get all the technical details figured out and put all the information online. But stay in touch with me on uh, on the Valerie Flynn. You can email me. My contact information is on the website. Don't call me at 2 a.m. in the morning, please.
Why
um,
not?
I'm just probably going to be awake trying to go to sleep. That's all. um, but what I the concept is this: there's a friend of mine who learned about this thing called the Silent Reading Club, and what they do is they chat for a half hour before and a half hour after, and then for an hour they put the phone timer on and they just read, and everybody reads their own books. So it's not like a book club. It it's basically everybody gets together, chit chats a little bit about what they're going to read, social stuff, and then they read for an hour together in a room together, and then they chit chat afterwards, and that's it. And it's very kind of fun. It's a very relaxing, low key kind of thing. And I thought I'd like to do that for non fellowship, where people can have like once a month or something, where we meet at a library or something like that. Some place that's a little quieter, and we can put stuff out on a table, and we don't have to buy things if we don't want to. Um, but we talk about our learnings for about a half hour, what we're learning about and what we're hoping to learn or things or whatever. We share it. We introduce ourselves and stuff, and then for an hour we just sit there and work on our stuff. And then for a half hour, and then after the hour was up, we chit chat about things we learned or found interesting, and then we go our way. So it's been about 2 hours together, and half hour in the beginning socializing, half hour at the end socializing, and an hour together, like being accountability partners, working on whatever we want to work on. I'm a reader, so I really like reading. Other people probably will watch videos and hopefully have headphones on so they don't, distract everybody else. But I just want to connect with other learners, um, and I just want to learn about other learners. So these are rudimentary questions that I have. And as we did, we kind of went off track, and that was totally fine because this is a conversation. I'm not, even though I used to work in media production, I'm not a professional actor or voice talent. I'm just kind of learning how to do this, and this is a passion of mine. And I find joy in learning what other people are learning and with their own learning journeys. And I just thought it would be nice to just get to know people, at least be acquaintances and maybe even friends.
I
Um,
think that's a fun idea.
so that's kind
It's
of
a,
the behind the scenes, I think, developed where they're
yeah,
gonna go in the future kind of thing about NAR fellowship. But thank you for asking me.
yeah. I think that's a great idea. I think any way that we can build community, and what better way than having things where we go learn from other people, and I think a quiet space is good. Library.
Yeah.
And I could show up, and I mean, I'd love to be a part of that. So
Oh,
just
I'd
let me
love to
know.
have you there. You would be fascinating and great to have there. And we could just work on whatever's. And
Yeah.
like in writing groups, I'm a member of an online writing
Oh,
Sorry about that. I bumped my Wi-Fi adapter on my laptop, and that's why it gave me the circles of death. So I
yeah. And
apologize.
then my,
I disappeared. That's what happened.
my
Um,
pause picture was like my mouth open and my eyes looking really weird.
aw. Yeah,
Oh,
video captures us at our most opportune moments, like when we're doing the
so,
weird things. You know. Um, what was I gonna say?
so we
Uh,
left it off with you gonna let me know when you have your.
Yes, I will contact you and let you know how things are developing. I'm working on figuring there's another location that has a conference room. I want to see if they're available first, because they're closer to my home. Don't tell anybody. This is only the internet. Um, but I have a feeling that it's probably going to be at the library, um, and probably on a Saturday afternoon kind of thing. I I can't remember if the library's open on Sunday or not, but I'm gonna have like stuff on the website of like doing it in Loveland, and then also facilitating other people doing it wherever they want to do it. So for ease of everybody understanding what it is, I'm going to call it Learning Club for now. I'll come up with some fancy title later. So that's important for niching of who you are and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I do want people to call it the Nara Fellowship because I think I want that sense of community. Um, so, but yeah, thank you for asking. What are some other thoughts you had?
Um, I guess these days, I struggle with how how people just in general are behaving and what's going on with politics and stuff.
Mm,
And the politics part is a separate conversation. So
yeah,
what's bothering me?
I don't get too controversial on my podcast. Um, if people want to know where my lines in the sands are, they can watch my do not subscribe, don't subscribe if video. You kind
Right.
of get a sense of who I am and where I'm coming from. My big thing is I I have people that I'm dear friends with on the other side of the issues on many different things, and they're people and they're wonderful people. They're generous, kind, good-hearted people, and have good character. And I'm one of these people in the middle who, you know, even though I'm like I have firm beliefs in what I believe, I don't think people is an idiot or moron or a poopy head just because they believe differently than I do. And
Well,
so
that's what I mean.
the
You got
vilification and the demonization of people on the other side, I really don't like that.
you
It,
got to keep the politics aside, but just even without the politics is what I'm saying. Like some people are just like, come on now. I mean, why aren't more young people saying please and thank you? That's a weird one to
uh,
me. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed, but I've definitely noticed that.
I have not noticed that personally, but I don't get out much. I don't drive, so I have to coordinate with Lyft and stuff. And friends and
I
family
will
kind of give
send
me
you
rides.
where you are. You will go. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
go
So,
meet the heathens.
but I have a group of friends that call themselves a geek family, and there's a wide range of ages there, and most of them are pretty polite. But we have some what we call geeklings that are young kids of some of the geeks, um, and but they're young, you know, they're like 3, 4, and 5, you know, and they're very noisy at the geek club. They just play and they like to be with everybody and they're happy, and then
Yeah,
they cry and they get over it. It's cute.
everything. Yeah,
But
yeah.
so we have a wide range of ages, um, but I believe it. You know, some people, you know, they grow up into different circumstances, and you know, it's like I read one thing where it's like some millennials and youngers uh, are threatened by just regular sentences on online speak. They think it too formal and too rude, and I'm like, that's how you communicate. I'm like, what are you talking about? So there's an informality in the internet speech of some of the younger, you know, teens and 20-year-olds that it's kind of like that's that's like how do
Yeah,
you
you're like,
even function? They think
right. What does
it's a
that mean?
different
What does that
thing.
three-letter acronym, whatever thing mean? Like I can't get past LOL at this point. I know what
Mm,
that means.
that means laugh out loud.
Yeah. So other than that, I don't have nothing.
Yeah, I did do TLDR and I never remember what that means. And it's like, I don't know. If someone wants to educate me on all the different acronyms, keep it clean though. This is a
There you go.
family
You got a
friendly podcast. So put it in
have
the
a
comments below what things mean for us, you know,
show
uh,
for all ages, and this
or
is
have a
what it
link to a
for
place where
kids.
there's a directory of what things mean. So that'd
Yeah,
be helpful.
All people 50 and over must watch this show right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. But so I probably should wrap it up here. Is there any other thoughts or questions that you had for me?
I do not at this present time.
Okay. Um, so one last, I'd like to ask you one wrap-up question. Is do you have any last thoughts or words of encouragement for other learners?
Yes. Yeah. We're not meant to always get something once. So the first time we might take us two or three times, and maybe even four. But if it's really what you want to learn, then learn it. Doesn't matter how you do it, just learn it. Yeah,
Cool.
keep learning. Don't let anybody call you anything other than who you are. And if you want to be slow, then learn it slow. If you want to learn it fast, learn it fast. Learn it the way you want to learn it. Because you have to obtain the information, so why hurry?
Right. Well, well said. Thank you very much, Yashem, right?
Yeah, thank you,
Yes.
Valerie. It was really good to see you,
It
and I
was a
appreciate
pleasure
it.
chatting with you. Why don't we stay on just a minute after I end the recording and we'll wrap up. But
Huh?
thank you for joining us, Yashem, and thank you for watching. And if you have a question or a thought, put a comment in the thing. Thanks. Bye bye.